No one expected what happened today for Palantir. The price is correcting really hard. Everyone is panicking. The trade war is making things unclear. Around $3 billion is questionable. However, one analyst stepped in, and actually it might mean the other way around. And Palantir might potentially even rise after this. That 500% pump might be coming soon. What is happening? And what on earth am I even talking about? Well, let me explain. Disclaimer. Today was a wild ride for Palantir, but not in a good way. The stock just took a serious beating, sinking all the way down to $74 per share. That's a shocker, especially since just weeks ago, Palantir was on fire, breaking record after record like it was unstoppable. It felt like nothing could slow it down. But now, the whole vibe has completely changed. The mood flipped fast. Investors who were celebrating not long ago are now feeling the heat. Some are panicking, others are scrambling to figure out their next move, and a good chunk of them are already selling off their shares. There's a lot of uncertainty in the air, and the shift happened so quickly that even seasoned traders are caught off guard. The big question now is, what's next? Was this just a temporary stumble, or is Palantir about to face a much bigger downturn? Some are hopeful this is just a bump in the road, while others are bracing for more trouble ahead. Either way, this sudden drop has everyone on edge, and all eyes are on what happens next. One analyst even broke down what's really happening with Palantir's price chart, and it's pretty eye-opening. He pointed out that Palantir is following the classic bubble pattern, the same one seen in other stocks before they crashed. He even mentioned a bear trap that happened back in August last year. Looking at the chart, you can clearly see the different phases playing out. The hype, the peak, the drop, and now, the uncertainty. It's a textbook example of how stocks get overextended, and the big lesson here? Never buy into the hype when a stock is way over its natural range. For those still holding on to Palantir or thinking about buying, according to the analyst, the chart is basically a warning sign. It shows where things could go next, and honestly, the picture isn't looking great. However, not all analysts are bearish on Palantir. One analyst actually seemed pretty impressed, saying that given everything happening, he expected Palantir to drop all the way down to $50 by now, but it hasn't. Instead, it's holding up better than he thought, which says a lot about how strong Palantir Nation really is. Despite all the fear and uncertainty, there's still a solid group of investors standing by the stock. They believe in Palantir's long-term potential, and that kind of loyalty can make a difference. When a stock has a dedicated following, it doesn't just crumble overnight, even when the market gets rough. Of course, resilience doesn't guarantee a rebound, but it does show that not everyone is ready to count Palantir out just yet. However, you might still ask, what is actually happening? Why is this happening? The real reason? Trump's trade war. One analyst broke it down. Palantir was flying high at the start of the year, jumping over 60% thanks to a solid earnings report. But now, almost all of those gains are gone. Not because of any bad company news, but because of bigger problems, falling consumer confidence, fears of budget cuts, and the escalating trade war. Palantir is looking like one of the first big victims of Trump's tariffs. High-priced stocks like this get hit the hardest when the market takes a dive, and that's exactly what's happening. The Nasdaq is officially in correction mode, meaning it's dropped more than 10% from recent highs. Investors are getting nervous, and Palantir is caught in the storm. To make things worse, it's struggling internationally too. Trade tensions are making countries like Canada and those in Europe lean toward local tech instead of relying on a US company. Palantir's European business was already weak, and now it's looking even shakier. And then there's the US government, Palantir's biggest customer, making up more than 40% of its revenue, but budget cuts are coming, especially in defense spending, which could be a serious hit. Palantir's software isn't cheap. Last year, with over 700 customers, the company pulled in close to $3 billion in revenue. That means, on average, each customer spent millions on Palantir's products. In uncertain times, expensive software starts looking like an easy expense to cut. This doesn't mean a recession is guaranteed, but if things keep getting worse, Palantir is going to feel it more than most. Some might see this dip as a buying opportunity, but the stock could still fall a lot further if the market keeps sliding. Palantir is a strong company, but right now, the timing couldn't be worse. But here's the thing. While everyone's freaking out over government cuts, one analyst thinks this could actually be great for Palantir. Yeah, the stock took a hit, dropping over 30% in 2 weeks. And sure, the market's shaky thanks to Trump's policies. But instead of this being the end, It might be the perfect setup for Palantir to win big. The US government isn't cutting AI spending. It's ramping it up with a massive budget. And guess who's perfectly positioned for that? Palantir. Wall Street analysts even pointed out that a new executive order basically hands them a government contract on a silver platter. And then there's Europe. With Trump backing away from Ukraine, NATO countries are throwing huge money into defense. Palantir has struggled to break in before, but with all this fresh spending, they could finally make some serious moves. Bottom line, some see this dip as a disaster. Others see it as a golden buying opportunity. If things go their way, Palantir might not just recover, it could skyrocket. So, what does all of this mean for Palantir's price? Well, if everything plays out the way some analysts are expecting, we might not just see a recovery. We could be looking at something much, much bigger. Think about it. The US is doubling down on AI spending. Europe is pouring insane amounts of money into defense, and Palantir is right in the middle of it all. The company is built to thrive in uncertain times. When the government needs efficiency, security, and cutting-edge AI solutions, Palantir is one of the first names that comes up. And as we've already seen, Wall Street is starting to catch on. Remember that analyst who predicted Palantir could hit $500? Back then, a lot of people thought that was crazy talk. But fast forward to now, and suddenly, it doesn't seem so far-fetched. If Palantir keeps landing big government contracts and becomes the go-to AI company for defense and finance, that kind of price target might not just be possible, it could even be conservative. And that's before we even talk about Elon Musk and Doge. We're watching the early stages of something huge. Musk is pushing AI and automation like never before. He and Donald Trump wants to make America the AI capital of the world. And Palantir is one of the most advanced AI companies out there. If there's a wave of new policies, contracts, and partnerships favoring AI-driven companies, it's hard to imagine Palantir not being a major player. The reality is, we're still in the early innings. AI is only going to get bigger. Government spending is just getting started. Big tech, defense, finance, everyone is racing to be at the forefront of AI. And Palantir? It's already deep in the game. If this all plays out the way it's shaping up, today's dip is going to look like a tiny blip on the chart. The same people panicking now might look back and wish they had taken advantage. Because in a world that's shifting toward AI dominance, companies like Palantir don't just survive, they explode. And looking at the long term, the future is looking incredibly bright for Palantir. One analyst summed it up perfectly. This company saw the future of AI long before anyone else, and positioned itself exactly where it needed to be. Palantir has spent years building, refining, and perfecting its AI infrastructure, knowing that one day, governments and enterprises would need powerful tools to turn raw AI outputs into real-world impact. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. While others are just waking up to AI's potential, Palantir has already woven itself into the fabric of this revolution. And that's why this stock still has insane upside. The company didn't chase short-term profits or follow trends. It built the foundation for what's coming next. We're entering a world where AI dominates every industry, and Palantir is set to be the operating system behind it all. So when we talk about price predictions, that $500 target, it doesn't sound crazy anymore. If Palantir continues securing government contracts, expanding its AI dominance, and embedding itself deeper into major industries, it could be worth even more than that. We're still so early in all of this. AI is just getting started, and Palantir is positioned exactly where it needs to be. Those who see the bigger picture now might look back in a few years and realize they were witnessing history in the making. But what is your opinion on this? Comment down below. If you are curious to find more, then make sure to click on one of the videos you see on the screen. And with that, we come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed the video, then turn on the notifications bell on this channel. Missing an important Palantir update might make you lose money, so don't risk it. The market is slowly recovering today. Palantir price just stabilized. Investors are watching closely. Alex Karp revealed something terrifying, and this pushed analysts to be skeptical. However, another bombshell has been dropped today. Microsoft and Palantir are at the center of it, and this might finally save Palantir from bleeding. What is happening? And what on earth am I even talking about? Well, let me explain. Disclaimer. Okay, today might not be the worst day for Palantir. The stock has shown a bit of resilience, bouncing back slightly and holding steady around the $90 mark. It's not a massive surge or anything, and yeah, we're still in the red, But there are little signs of recovery peeking through. And let's be real, for us in the community, any sign of life is a win. It's like catching a glimpse of sunlight after a gloomy day. The mood in the market is shifting ever so slightly. It's not full-blown excitement just yet, but there's a growing sense that maybe, just maybe, things are starting to turn around. Analysts are watching closely, trying to figure out if this is the beginning of a real rebound or just a temporary pause before another dip. Either way, all eyes are on Palantir, waiting to see if this momentum can actually build into something bigger. So, is this the start of something good? Or just another tease before more turbulence? That's the big question, and we'll be keeping a close watch. Now, one analyst broke it all down and explained what's really happening with Palantir's price. And the big question on everyone's mind, is it time to buy the dip? Palantir took a serious hit, dropping from around 125 to the mid-80s in just 5 trading days. That's a huge swing, especially after the big post-earnings rally. Right now, we're back to where we were before earnings, hovering near that familiar 83 range. According to the analyst, as long as Palantir stays between 80 and 83, it might not be a bad spot to start easing in for the long haul. But if it slips below 79, then we could be looking at another drop, possibly towards 66, an area that might be worth considering for long-term buyers. The past few trading sessions have been wild, and market sentiment has definitely shifted. So, what do you think? Have we finally hit the bottom? Or is there more downside ahead? Let us know in the comments below. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, the drop is even more dramatic than it seemed. One analyst pointed out that Palantir has now tumbled around 30% in just 5 trading days. That's a massive slide, way more than just a rough week. To put it into perspective, the total market value has taken a hit of nearly $90 billion. That's an enormous amount wiped out in such a short time. It really shows just how intense this sell-off has been. So, with numbers this big, the question is, was this an overreaction, or is there still more room to fall? But here's the thing. This kind of drop might have been inevitable. Sometimes a stock has to take a breather after a massive run-up. And in a way, these pullbacks can actually set the stage for a stronger comeback. One analyst put it simply, no pain, no gain. It's part of the market cycle. Stocks don't just move up in a straight line forever. Corrections happen, and they can create opportunities for those who know how to play the long game. And when it comes to handling all this volatility, his approach is refreshingly simple. He's holding on to his Palantir shares, still keeping it as his biggest position. No panic selling, no second-guessing every dip. Instead of getting caught up in the day-to-day price swings, he's focused on the bigger picture. But that doesn't mean he's just sitting back doing nothing. He's also keeping an eye on other stocks that haven't had their big run yet. Stocks that could be the next breakout plays. Because at the end of the day, the market is always shifting, and while one stock might be pulling back, another could be gearing up for a move. It's a long-term mindset, and in times like these, patience might just be the smartest strategy. But here's where things get even more interesting. Something big just came out today, and it might add even more fuel to the fire. It turns out that CEO Alex Karp is set to sell a massive chunk of Palantir stock, almost $1 billion worth. And that's got investors talking. Palantir has been on an absolute tear since the start of 2024. At its peak, the stock had skyrocketed more than 6 times its value. But that momentum took a hit when news broke that Karp had plans to sell a significant amount of shares. For many investors, insider selling can be a red flag. After all, nobody knows the company better than the people running it. So if they're offloading shares, it can make others nervous. But there's always more to the story. Legendary investor Peter Lynch once said, "Insiders might sell their shares for any number of reasons, but they buy them for only one. They think the price will rise." That's something to keep in mind here. Just because Karp is selling doesn't automatically mean he's bearish on Palantir. He could be using the money for something completely unrelated. And it's important to note, this isn't even close to his full stake. Based on the last available numbers, he owns nearly 100 billion shares across different classes. The shares he's selling amount to about 10% of his holdings. That's a big number, but it's nowhere near a full exit. If he were dumping everything, that would be a different story. But he's not. So now the real question is, should regular investors be thinking about selling too? Or is this just a normal part of the game? But here's the crazy part. On the same day that news broke about Alex Karp selling shares, another massive announcement dropped. Palantir is teaming up with Microsoft in a partnership that could have huge implications for the Department of Defense. One tweet summed it up perfectly. Data isn't just numbers, It's the backbone of decision-making, strategy, and keeping everything running smoothly. Palantir and Microsoft are stepping up to meet that challenge. Their partnership is all about strengthening modern military operations, making sure data flows smoothly and systems work together without a hitch. The goal? To provide the best possible support for the military, ensuring those on the ground have the tools they need to operate efficiently and effectively. This isn't just another corporate deal. This is about shaping the future of defense technology. And with two giants like Palantir and Microsoft joining forces, it's clear that something big is in the works. This is huge for Palantir. A partnership with Microsoft, especially one tied to the Department of Defense, is more than just another deal. It's a major validation of Palantir's role in national security. These kinds of contracts don't just bring in revenue. They open doors to long-term opportunities and deeper government ties. More importantly, this could be exactly what Palantir needs to stop the stock's decline. The sell-off has been brutal, but a high-profile deal like this shifts the focus back to the company's real value. It proves that while the stock may be struggling, Palantir itself is still winning where it matters. If investors take notice, this could be the moment that puts Palantir back on track. And here's the kicker. Palantir's impact on defense might not just stay in the US. It could be making its way to Europe soon, thanks to a major revelation from the US Secretary of Defense today. He just got off the phone with John Healey, the UK Secretary of State for Defense, who confirmed that the UK is set to increase its defense spending to 2.5% of its GDP. And that's just the beginning. There are plans to push it even higher over time. This is massive for Palantir, not just for today, but for its future. The defense sector is one of the most stable and well-funded industries in the world. And if Palantir cements itself as a key player in both US and European military operations, the growth potential is staggering. With the UK increasing its defense budget and other European nations likely to follow, Palantir has a golden opportunity to expand beyond its already strong US government ties. These aren't just one-off deals. They're long-term partnerships that could lead to billions in contracts over the years. And once Palantir embeds itself into a nation's defense infrastructure, replacing it becomes nearly impossible. That's how you build dominance. If investors start to connect the dots, this could be the spark that sends Palantir's stock soaring again. A company with deep government backing, cutting-edge AI, and a growing global footprint? That's exactly the kind of formula that could push Palantir toward that dream valuation of a trillion-dollar company. When you step back and look at the big picture, today's price action starts to feel pretty insignificant. In the long run, Palantir is setting itself up for something much bigger. With massive deals, government partnerships, and global expansion on the horizon, the future is looking bright. And for investors feeling a little shaky right now, one analyst had some reassuring words. If the market turns around, Palantir could be back over 100 in no time. We've seen this play out before. After past sell-offs, Palantir was one of the first stocks to bounce back, fueled by retail investors and momentum traders who love a strong recovery. So while things might look rough in the short term, this could just be another setup for Palantir to come roaring back stronger than ever. But what is your opinion on this? Comment down below. If you are curious to find more, then make sure to click on one of the videos you see on the screen. And with that, we come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed the video, then turn on the notifications bell on this channel. Missing an important Palantir update might make you lose money, so don't risk it. Also, please share this video with as many people as possible. Let's get this news out there.